For some reason, it's not showing up. I don't know why it's not showing up. Hang on. Sorry.
It's all good.
Gonna try and figure this out. What is this? Hang on. I think it signed me out. That's why.
Oh,
Shit.
shit.
Wait, is it? Oh. Sorry about that, guys. A lot of technical difficulties today, but we're here. Sorry. That could have gone better. We're gonna cut that out later. Anywho, welcome to DCU Daily, guys. We are here to talk about Creature Commandos is the big thing. Of course, a lot of lovely Creature Commandos stuff happened. Obviously, earlier today, I waited until 3 in the morning to watch it just for you guys. But also a bunch of, James Gunn had this big interview to talk uh, about pretty much everything DC, kind of just confirming stuff, doubling down on various things. So we're going to be talking about that. And then finally, we're going to be talking about CCXP, a lot of, putting down rumors, putting up various other things, talking about mainly about merch, trailer stuff. But with me today is Liz. Liz, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I could be better.
I did not wait up until 3 a.m. I watched Creature Commandos at 3 in the afternoon today. But hey, we do what we got to do for the fans, right?
I mean, I was already up at 2 in the morning doing something else anyway. So
Naturally.
like, you know. Hey, like Caleb. Caleb is in the chat with us today. Thank you, Caleb. Hello. Honka honka. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for that. But let's get into the real meat and potatoes, because that's what people want. Well, not totally just that yet. We got to talk about James Gunn. Got to talk about James Gunn a
James
little bit.
Gunn.
So,
That
he was talking about, he did this interview with Joseph Horowitz a couple days ago, and he was talking about a lot of stuff for, just DCU stuff. The first thing that we wanted to talk about was the Silver Age influences on Superman, on the upcoming film, and on the character. And he was talking about, I don't think we've ever seen the big science fiction Silver Age Superman aspects that we have in our movie. We've never seen this specific part of Superman's life. Now, I thought this was an interesting thing to talk about,
yeah.
because that's, now, as someone who's seen a bunch of the other movies, maybe not every single one, do you kind of agree with him on this, that like in terms of various science fiction aspects, or do you think,
Yeah.
that the previous movies have gone more fantastical and less sci-fi than what James Gunn is talking about here?
Yeah, I would agree with both things, but also, I mean, I feel like that's kind of been the case for Batman as well, where it's like, yes, we know the origin story, and then we know, the stories and the villains that he's fighting later on in life, but we really don't know the transition from one to the other. And I like that he's being very considerate about those things, and thinking more. And again, because he
Mhm.
has said himself, like, we all know the origin stories of these major characters, but there's
Right.
so much more to them that nobody's talked about, nobody's explored, nobody's examined. So why not get into that? So I think that provides another element, gives us a little, because again, you're talking about a character, this life altering thing happened to them, and I'm kind of using Batman more as the example right now, but so this life altering thing happened to them, but then we don't see them for like until like 30 years later. Well,
Right.
okay, so that one thing is not the only thing that shaped who they are 30 years later. There's 30 years of things going on in between that it would be interesting to kind of look into. I mean, like, I know, like, with Superman and Lois, with Smallville, that kind of stuff, they tried to do that with the Superman character. But I agree with what James is saying, that there's even more story to tell, and it's about time
Mhm.
somebody gets around to it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a interesting thing to talk about in regards to the Silver Age aspect, because I think the Christopher Reeve done one kind of did that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's I think, like, in terms of like hard sci-fi, that could be an interesting thing to take, because I know like all of them are kind of like more fantastical sci-fi, more like Star Wars that's more fantastical sci-fi. Well, like I think hard sci-fi would be an interesting thing to do, like 2001 or Silent Running or something like that,
Yeah.
where it's like based on like some type of scientifical fact, but like not like obviously in a fictionalized sense, alien
Sure.
coming
Yeah.
down, gaining superpowers, that kind of thing. But I still think it's an interesting bit to have. But I think I like how he's like trying to incorporate all different aspects of Superman, because I mean it's pretty much confirmed that there's a lot of post-crisis influence, New 52 influence, um like a little bit of pre-crisis like Bronze Age stuff, but now he's like, oh, let's get into Silver Age, because I feel
Yeah.
like Zack Snyder's version was more like Golden Age Superman, very like hardened, darker kind of aspects. So I think it makes sense that okay, let's move on to like Silver Age. We kind of confirmed that with the images he posted many moons ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's definitely an interesting sort of plot line to take, is like focusing on hard sci-fi, and I hope that those aspects very much get uh incorporated in a proper way. So yeah, I really like that. So way to go, James Gunn. But he also gave us not just Superman stuff, but he did give us a little insight into other projects. He's confirmed that we have Brave and the Bold, Booster Gold, and Waller. They're not quite where I want them to be just yet. Now, obviously, this is just saying the scripts aren't there yet, but does that hold out hope to you that maybe we'll be getting these kind of things sooner rather than later, even though it's like, okay, there's still a ways to go? But the fact we have a writer's room and or a writer tackling these, does
Yeah.
that mean something?
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that he is making it known that these are the things that he's thinking about, that this is the direction he's headed, definitely indicates to me that he's got some ideas, if he hasn't already started to write some stuff. And again, James is the guy that I am really looking forward to continuing these projects, because just like what I've been saying this entire time, and I've said this to you, John, is like he has said time and time again, yeah, we've had the main villains, we've had the main heroes. Like, I want to bring in all of those side characters that have been along for the ride all of this time, but for some reason have never gotten their due, have never gotten a TV show, have never gotten a movie, have never even been mentioned.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to what he has going, and I appreciate that he wants to build up the backstory. He wants to really give all of these other characters more of a spotlight and a little more time on screen, because there's a lot of fans out there that do have their favorite characters, that do have their favorite sidekicks, their favorite villains that don't get any attention. So I think that would be really great in kind of bringing in the collective fan base. So I'm looking forward to it. And
Yeah.
I, like I said, he at least he knows his stuff. He's been a fan since his high school days, and it to me, I know he's going to try and do it justice.
Hmm.
I hope he doesn't
But
end up going the route of like trying to tell the story the way he wants it to be told. Like he has said, there is a time and place for canon. But
yeah,
as
we'll get
someone
to
who
that soon enough
doesn't
too. Yeah.
Right, but as someone who's not very familiar with these characters, I hope that he really does them justice and kind of sticks to who they truly are, and who fans
I
have
think he
grown up
will,
to know. Yeah, I think he will too.
because I think like that's what we've been kind of getting. Like Creature Commandos, and don't worry, we'll get into that. Um, in terms of like Creature Commandos, it's definitely like James Gunn flavored, but it also there is like a bit of comic bookiness to it that like
Yeah.
works, that I like. But this is also exciting how it's just like it can doubling down on the I'm not going to greenlight anything until I get the proper scripts, the proper writers room, like
Yeah,
all
and
on the
that's how
same
it should
page.
be.
So yeah,
Yeah.
as but it is exciting to the people who have been following us for a while. Brave and the Bold, we were like, okay, does it have a writer? Does it not? Well, he's pretty much saying that I feel like we have a writer. Now, whether that's Andy Muschietti or somebody else, I'm gonna take a wild guess at somebody else because Andy Muschietti, I don't think has ever written his own movies. I mean, there's a first time for everything, but I don't think he's a writer. I think he's mainly a director. So I think we might have another writer, whoever that is. Obviously, we don't know. He doesn't want us to know, which is fair. But I think this gives us an insight into what we're getting like sooner rather than later. Because Brave and the Bold, Booster Gold, and Waller, I think we might be getting those sooner because it's like, okay, yeah, we're not getting them yet. They're not quite where I want them to be yet, as he said, but I feel like we're getting them sooner because I feel like the way he's saying it's like we're almost there. So I feel like Brave and the Bold might be coming out sooner and Booster Gold and Waller. So I think that's very exciting. Now, whatever we are getting, I don't know, because the Authority has not been mentioned at all.
Right.
So I feel like that's going to become coming way later. Same with Swamp Thing. I think Swamp Thing and like the Authority are going to be coming in way later. And then, obviously Teen Titans has been iffy on whether that was never confirmed by James Gunn. So who knows? And then you also have Paradise Lost, which I think is also coming way later. So these I feel like are the I think an insight into what we're getting soon in terms of 2027 and 2028. So
Yeah,
I think
I think
that's
he's trying to be really, really thoughtful about the pacing and about how
mhm.
often he releases projects. He even said that in that interview on Happy Sad Confused, where
Yes.
he was saying like, I don't want to just constantly like be banging projects out. Like like the interview had even said like how many projects in a year is good, how many TV shows is good, how many movies is good. And he was like, listen, like I'm not trying to inundate people. Like you said, like the script is very important. The writing comes first. And then, finding the right cast, getting people to say yes. And he's been very thoughtful all along with all of this, which I completely respect and I understand because he wants to do it right. He doesn't want to come in here and just completely alienate the fans and piss people off. So I'm looking forward to these three storylines getting a little amped up and getting some more information behind these
Mhm.
characters. But I'm, I'm happy to wait with, like I said, he's been a fan his whole life, so I'm sure he's thought about these things for a very long time if he ever
Yeah.
got the opportunity. And now he's got the opportunity and he wants to do everything properly. And I completely
With the
appreciate
power of, yeah, he is the head
yeah.
honcho, but he also has to think, even though he's not the business guy, Peter Safran is,
Right. And
but
he
he
has
also
said that
has to
too.
think
Yeah.
about it from that perspective. He's like, okay, I can't just make a 9-hour movie with every
Right.
character I love. And it's like, because like
Right.
that's what we'd all do. But I
Right.
like how he's like trying to like, okay, I am the creative guy, but I'm also, realistic. I'm still a guy working for a company and I
Right.
gotta be mindful of that. So like, which is sad, but like that's the reality. It's all under a company, capitalism, all that shit. So like, obviously we have to think about that. But here we are.
Here we are.
So but it is an exciting time of like giving respect, due respect. So next thing. That was kind of an interesting tidbit that he mentioned. Again, this is all coming from the same interview, with Josh Horowitz,
Yeah.
on the Happy Sad Confused podcast. James Gunn contemplated bringing Robert Pattinson's Batman into the DCU, but he decided not to because he's committed to both telling stories in the DCU and Elseworld stories. I want the freedom to tell Elseworld stories. Now, I was really curious on your point of view for this because you're one who's more of a stickler for like everything just taking place in the same universe. So, are you unhappy about this, or are you like, yeah, let's keep them separate?
No, well, I understand where he's coming from. I don't mind if you're going to go off in different directions as long as it remains that way. If at some point you try to segue back and merge the two, then I have an issue because it's like no, they should be their own separate thing. You want
Okay,
them to be
okay.
their own separate thing, let them be their own separate thing. Um, and again, I've said this about the Penguin as well. I love the fact that they took this side character from the film and gave them their own story, and we got a little more background on them. I didn't want to see Robert Pattinson in the Penguin. Again, maybe like, the last 30 seconds of the very last episode, but if it's not going to lead us into the Batman 2 or potentially season 2 of the Penguin, there's no fucking point. And that drives me crazy when people do things like that, because I feel like it's kind of like a cash grab, or kind of like, I think a lot of the time they think they're doing it for the fans, when if it doesn't make sense, fans are just going to look at them like, okay. So I'm totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. I completely understand where he's coming from. And he also said in that interview that he's really, really interested in going further with the Elseworld series stories, because there's so much there. So I completely understand where he's coming from with that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it should stay separate if that's like the intention, because I think Matt Reeves was, I mean, that's what kind of it started out as, how it was gonna be Ben Affleck's The Batman. It was gonna be a DCEU thing, and then it just like, and then he was like, okay, Ben Affleck backed off, and then Matt Reeves got handed the keys, and he's like, okay, this is interesting. And then I feel like either WB told him, or he saw that the DCU was kind of dying. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to fucking do my own thing. And it's good because he pretty much got off the Titanic before it sank. So,
Right. Well, and he had said
and
that
he
too. He said,
survived, you know?
right. He said, let Matt Reeves be Matt Reeves and do his thing. He did a great job. He's like, I have no problem with it. I have no interest in coming in there and telling him how to do things, how to run things. But again, if you're keeping them separate, you're allowing them to be true to the stories and to those characters. If you try to merge those two storylines, you're going to be coming up with shit that's not canon, that won't necessarily fit to the storylines,
And it just wouldn't make
later on.
sense.
And it wouldn't make
As
exactly.
you were saying before, like,
Exactly.
I know everyone was saying, like, oh, yeah, I can see Robert Pattinson with David Cortz. I'm like, can you? This is a guy that's
No.
wearing like a trash can as armor, and yet he's like besties with a guy who can fly around the earth in a second. So it's like,
Right.
I can't really picture that.
Well, and again, just like you couldn't see him with Henry Cavill's Superman, just like you couldn't see him with Jason Momoa's Aquaman, like you have to let those stories be separate, because they were created, they're so very different from one another, that you somehow trying to put them together because you think this is what fans want to see. All fans are going to look at that and say you're grasping at straws now. Like you're just coming up with some random bullshit because you're trying to make a payday. That's where what it looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm completely fine that he's keeping them separate, because I think he recognizes that.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a smart move, because it's like the people that are not into James Gunn, his vision, they're like, okay, well, we have the Batman, so
Right.
it's too, even though and I've said this many times before, even though the DCU seems very varied in terms of storytelling, characters, and genres, it seems like obviously this shit has barely started. It's only been around for a day now. That's like, okay, we only have like a little tidbit of what we will see. And so, but from the projects announced, it seems like he's getting to be that it's going to be that varied point of view. But obviously people are just going to be like, nah, fuck that. Restore the Snyderverse. Matt Reeves is the closest thing I have. We're going to go over here now. And James Gunn's like, cool. That's why I kept it around for a reason. At the end of the day, I'm still getting your money. So, but like that's, I just like, it's, even if you don't like those fantastical aspects, even if it's like, we're getting like a horror movie with Swamp Thing, or like a cosmic epic with Supergirl, it's like, nah, I don't like any fantastical stuff. I'm going to stick with guy in armored suit plowing Catwoman while punching Carmine Falcone in the face. So, that's how it is. And I think that was the best decision he could have come up with, because I think it's like, there is the idea of maybe general audiences being confused, but he's like, nah, fuck that. We're going to keep it separate continuities, because it just makes way more sense that way. But yeah, next thing, in terms of, James Gunn confirming stuff once again, he revealed that a new DCU project was greenlit last week. It happened with another thing that was greenlit last weekend that I can't even talk about it yet. Now, everyone in the chat has been blowing up about Huntress. I assume we're going to be, getting into that soon enough. Um, but what are your thoughts? You know, what are your thoughts on this Greenlit project? Do you have any theories?
No,
I
God no.
mean,
Well, I don't know enough about the DC
right. But I'm
universe.
like,
I
hey,
don't,
you know a little bit and you're like kind of
yeah.
getting into it
I
now. So it's
mean,
like, maybe you have an idea.
well, because all I'm thinking about is like we already know we've got Lanterns coming up. We're doing Creature Commandos now. We know we've got Peacemaker season 2 coming up. So like that's kind of where my head is at, and I can't like I'm having like, is it another Wonder Woman? Maybe are they trying to redeem and trying to revise that franchise? Could it be something along those lines, or is it something? To me, knowing James Gunn, this could be something completely out of left field that nobody saw coming, which would be great. So I really don't know. It's really hard for me to wrap my head around what it could possibly be.
Yeah, I know. I think like James Gunn referenced Huntress, which could be an interesting way to go. Um, I think that could be an interesting. I know somebody mentioned DC's Daredevil. I don't know if that's exact. I mean, she's like a street level hero, but I wouldn't say she's DC's Daredevil.
Okay.
But I think that's definitely an interesting theory on what it's going to be. And also, by the way, a lot of more people are coming in. Got to give a shout out, Watcher, Figure Drawing, you're new. Hello. Jay Kelly, Ron, Buster, Caleb. I did, and Mike's Total Dragon channel. There's another one that seems to be new. I don't think we've seen you around here before. And then Dan is also blowing up the chat with his personal account. So hi, Dan.
Hi,
Um,
Dan.
um, but
Good enough for the chat, but not good enough for the show, Dan. Okay.
yeah, that's how he is. Also, don't be if you're driving, don't text while you're driving. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
please do not. Nobody. Not worth
But
it. You
anyway,
can watch
so
this later.
thank you for your theories. Yeah, because people are talking about Huntress, Cersei, Wonder
Cersei's cool,
Woman.
man.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely get into that as well. Don't worry, we're gonna be getting into Creature Commandos, but thank you all for your comments. We're gonna try and keep them showing up on the stream. But yeah, so he revealed another, DCU
Well, so
project.
what do you think it could possibly be?
I mean, it could be anything. Like it legit could
That's what I'm
be
saying.
anything. Like because I mean, he has said many times that like he loves Justice League International, so it could be one of those characters. It could be another ensemble. It could be something Justice League adjacent.
I feel
It
like it
could
can't
be.
be an ensemble. I feel like he's doing a lot of ensembles back to back, and
I mean, he's only
I don't want to get
doing.
inundated with that.
I feel like the only ensembles that have gotten stuff are Creature Commandos and the Authority, and Paradise Lost, I guess, kind of counts as one. But
Peacemaker's not an ensemble.
I mean, it's like it's called Peacemaker. It's not called Argus,
I
right?
but you know what I mean? Like I feel like
I
that's
guess so.
definitely an ensemble show.
So yeah, he might keep
Yeah,
it just like that.
yeah.
But I think I think I still think well, I don't know. I don't know. Because I know Plastic Man was like a name that was rumored for a bit, and that does fit into like
Okay,
James Gunn's humor.
sure.
I know The Question was rumored to be confirmed at some point. So it maybe could be something like that. It could be the Huntress thing. Even though he just referenced that character, he could be just referencing her. He could just be like, "Oh yeah, this character is great," and then that's it. And people are just
Right.
grasping at straws as we usually do as nerds. But I don't know. Could be anything. But it's an interesting how we're at because I think we're reaching a point where we're like almost on the cusp of getting chapter 1 part 2 because we haven't gotten those movies yet, and I think we're sooner rather than later we're going to be getting 2 movies a year and 2 shows a year rather than the one movie one show that we're
And I think
kind of starting
that's
out
totally
as.
reasonable. Give yourself time to market them properly and build up some buzz. I mean, he sits down to every damn interview that is requested of him. It's wild. Like it's one of those like every time I see a quote from him or I see an interview from him, I'm like, don't you have things to like be filming and editing and produce? Like, how do you have time? So I think that's really smart on his part. Like, pace yourself. don't inundate people, because you're going to end up alienating people. You're going to end up turning people off, because we just simply as a society cannot get to all of this shit anymore. I'm so behind with so many freaking shows and projects, and my friends give me shit about it all the time. And it's like, okay, but you're also not watching any of the stuff that I'm watching either. So we're all in this together. we all want to watch these things and enjoy these things and talk about these things, but we
Right.
can't do it when there's 10 projects a month coming out.
Right.
So I think he's really smart in
Yeah.
that sense. Yeah, for sure.
I think that's good. 1 to 2. I think I think Lenny even said this, referencing this, because I remember him saying this, but Lenny said it a couple of weeks ago, where she was like, "Yeah, the main goal for him was to have 2 movies. I think strictly DCU. I don't think that counts for Elseworld stuff, but he was saying 2 DCU movies, 2 DCU shows per year. Now, whether that's DCU shows that are continuing or just starting, obviously we're not sure, but I would assume it's starting. So I think that's a good 2. Boom. That's not too many. We're not getting 17 shows and 4 movies. Like we're getting 3 what is it? 3, 4 movies next year for Marvel. We got Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four. Isn't there another one?
Captain America, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Hawkeye. He's getting another one. I don't think it's next year though.
Who knows? But I think Blade was rumored next year, but then that got taken.
Oh well, Craven's coming out.
Well, that's later. That's in a couple weeks. So
yeah, Secret Wars. We already had
it's 2027 though.
Yeah,
but
please. Oh, another What If. We're getting all that stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Yeah, it's just like 2 and 2. 2 movies, 2 shows. Boom. There you go. Easy enough.
And I'm happy with that.
Whatever this is, obviously, please keep commenting down below. We love to hear your theories. Next, the big one that I know you had a lot to say about this, but as far as James Gunn is concerned, canon has become way more important than it should be, and his new DCU is going to reflect that point of view. Now, you have a lot to say about canon, so let it rip.
Well, I do and I don't. Again, he is a fan. He has been a fan, a lifelong fan his whole life, and he speaks very kindly about Marvel still too. So which shows me what a fan he is of both. And he'd made it very clear. He said, I will stick to canon if at any time if possible. So, to his point, there are some universes that are bigger, are more expansive, have been around for longer, have more volumes, more characters. So in that regard, it's very easy to stick to canon there. But like we talked a couple weeks back about Guardians, for example. The Guardians that we know and love are the newer version of the Guardians. They're not the original Guardians from 1969. So it's a little easier to kind of stray from canon, because you kind of have to fill in the blanks when you only have a short version, or of not as meaty of a story. So it's a lot easier to be like, okay, I can kind of take my liberties here and there, because these aren't well established 50-year-old characters. So I understand his point on both sides, but I do appreciate that trying to be as canon as possible when it's relevant, when it makes sense to do so, is really smart, and something that I'm sure all the other fans appreciate as well. And again, for someone like me who doesn't know a lot of these characters and is being introduced to these people for the very first time, it's nice if it is canon, because then I can talk to people who have actually read the comics, who have grown up with these characters, and I'm not looked at like an asshole because I only know this one version and it's not the true version that fans grew up with. So I totally respect where he's coming from with that.
Yeah, I think we were mentioning this prior to the show, and how look at the Fox X-Men movies. Those treated canon like it was nothing and just kind of threw out whatever.
Yeah, it was weird. Like they started out with good intentions and they started out with canon, but I think also if you have an actor playing a major character and then who turns around and is like, I don't want to do this anymore, then yeah, you kind of have to pivot where you can.
Right. So, but like the vast majority of those movies range from good to great to amazing. So,
Mm,
yeah, we got like X-Men Origins and, Dark Phoenix and X-Men 3, but like most of those movies were pretty kino, and we got amazing movies at it. We got X2, we got Days of Future Past, we got Logan. We got tons of great movies. Hell, even just good movies like, like the first X-Men, not the greatest thing ever, but it was still pretty damn good. And,
dude, that was
Apocalypse
like
wasn't too bad.
I waited
Um,
my whole life for that first X-Men, so it's always gonna have a special place in my
oh
heart for
yeah, of
sure.
course.
Yeah.
But like X2 just
Yeah.
everything just shot up.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I kind of like with this, how it's like, okay, we're gonna pay attention to, if we're adapting a story, then we're gonna follow that canon. Um, if we're gonna follow our own timeline, then we're gonna follow our own timeline. But we're not gonna be like every single solitary thing that happened here is going to be like this, or everything that happened in this story is going to be like, it's going to be loose, or it's like we're just going to take it, we're going to roll with the punches, as he said. Like, he was kind of confusing in that initial interview.
Yeah.
um not the sorry, not the interview, the panel at New York Comic Con. He was kind of confusing, but now as he's like kind of doubled down on it, he's like, now he has found the right words and can talk about it properly.
Yeah.
Then he's like, okay, we're just gonna treat canon as sort of a, just roll with the punches. We're gonna look at this project. Okay, what does this connect to? This, and this. Well, we'll keep those in mind. We'll try to like bob and weave in terms of other aspects, and we're just gonna see like how we're gonna move on from that. So,
Right.
I feel like we're gonna follow a timeline. We're not gonna be strict to that timeline. We're gonna follow some comics. We're not gonna follow those strictly, as long as it's loose and it's just like people can figure out. Like, we don't have to. And
Yeah.
we said this last week. We're not gonna have to do homework. We're not gonna have to watch 3 shows in a movie to figure out
Right. Yeah.
Swamp Thing. So,
Yeah, and
it's just gonna
that's where
be.
Marvel's had the issue. Well, and I think he also he's gonna do his damnedest to be as true to the individual characters, maybe not the situations that they're in, maybe not the stories that they're in themselves, but the individual characters and their origins, their storylines. He's gonna continue to be true to them and maybe just put them in situations that we've not seen before. And that I'm totally down with as well. Like, I don't know that I want every single comic book, every single story to get a movie or a TV show. I want to see these characters, I want to see them interact with one another, but I wouldn't mind them going up against a situation that they've not been in before. I think that's part of where creative license is allowed to be applied here.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that, because as long as movies don't have to become homework, then I'm cool with that, and just
Right.
roll with the punches. Like, that's
Right.
exactly what it is. Just roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So perfect. Last thing before we get into Creature Commandos is some Green Lantern stuff. And don't worry, Jake Kelly, I'm not gonna go into a rant. We're just gonna talk about the news, okay? Um, so Tom King was saying his Lanterns aims to engage with the audience on a real world level. He said Damon, as in Damon Lindelof, Chris, as in Chris Mundi, and him came up with a lot of love for the material. We wanted to do what I've always done in comics, which is take these original creations and show why they're still relevant today, and why they can speak to both the audience and the issues of everything we're dealing with. So I think that's an interesting way to take it. I mean, that's kind of fits into the rumors that were being reported a couple months back. Um, so, I do think that that's and it's interesting how the two fucking pictures that they keep showing are from Green Lantern Earth 1, and I feel like that's the main influence, because Earth 1, the Earth 1 continuity is very much like modern context, real world, like
Yeah.
showcasing of, DC superheroes. I believe, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Teen Titans, Green Lantern, and I think maybe a couple others have been in this Earth 1 continuity. So I think that makes sense. Now, do I hate this? Do I like this? I think this is an interesting way to take it. I see why they're doing it. One could be due to budget because Earth showing is like filming a city street is a hell of a lot easier than showing Mars, where you
Right.
got to be on a fucking blue screen for
Right.
12 hours a day. And it's like, okay, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Even though these are more cosmic heroes, James Gunn even said, he said here, you know, uh, he said, I like because it takes place on Earth, and everybody's like, oh, we don't want to see that. They're fighters in space. They fly with wings. We don't want to see it. And I'm like, yeah, they are on Earth for the story, like most Green Lantern stories are. And he does have a fair point here. He does have a very fair point of, you know, that a lot of Green Lantern stories do take place on Earth. So fair. And
Yeah.
that's fine. It's just like, I wish there was like more of the cosmic aspect, but, um, I mean, as Dan has batted for the show constantly, he said, "Well, it's going to lead into something more cosmic and more like
Yeah.
old school horror, eldritch, Lovecraftian kind of
Yeah.
thing." That,
Well, and
like,
and
I
I
mean, the center
y-
has been like the rumor of the villain, so I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I don't want to hate this show. I'm already skeptical enough as is, but I'm like,
Well, I think
okay, I
so,
can
no,
see
so
what
I
they're
think
going
that's
for.
the reasoning. I think that's the main reason behind it. I agree with what Dan is saying wholeheartedly. I think it's twofold. I think yes, budget wise, it's easier to focus on Earth in a real world situation, but at the same time, I think again, James being very conscious of the past and listening to what the fans have said and the criticisms of the past, I think his thought process is if we try to go into space right away and make it a celestial show and make it about all of the different worlds, all of the different lanterns, it could go the realm of being goofy because then they're focusing more on special effects. They're focusing more on the CGI and on building up all of these other characters, and that will take away from the writing because there's only so much content you can do without making it just fall apart. So I think it's twofold. I completely agree that with what Dan is saying, where they're going to start off on Earth, and then as it progresses, hopefully as long as everything goes well, as long as the fans are behind it and enjoy what they're getting so far, I think then he's going to go off and explore the other worlds, and do a little more of that. But as of right now, I think he's just trying to establish a base and a foundation. And again, like he said, that's this Green Lantern is of Earth, so why wouldn't his stories take place on Earth? It makes way more sense to stick with what we already know of him. So I get it, and I agree that that's probably the best way just to start out, so that you don't run into that whole aspect of trying to be bigger and better with every next iteration, with every next episode, or the next seasons, or the next film. He's trying to let's establish a foundation, let's get people behind the character, behind this new direction, and then go from there. And I get it, I totally get it. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I've been blowing my nose, and I don't want you guys to hear that. So,
We appreciate that, that's okay.
But I do kind of agree with that. I can kind of see where you're going with that because, like, the other reason, I mean, I said one, is the budget, and two, look at the thing that introduced Cosmic Green Lantern almost immediately, 2011 Green Lantern movies. So I can kind of see why,
That's what
you
I'm
know,
saying. I mean,
I
he's
can
he's
kind.
already been joking about how Ryan Reynolds has given him his blessing. Ryan Reynolds wants nothing to do with Green Lantern ever again. He
Yeah,
had made that joke about, oh, I asked Ryan if he wants to come back. He said, fuck no. So I think he's very thoughtful about what the fans have been through in the past, and how all of the fans are screaming like, please, let's not go back. Don't put us through this shit again. We want a good, solid Lantern story that will continue on, and not just be a drop in the bucket, or something that we laugh about years to come. So I get it. I think he's being very, very thoughtful about how he approaches every single project.
yeah. So I think, I do want to see, cosmic heroes being cosmic. As long as we eventually get that, I'm cool with it. I just, I just get like my fucking like asshole tightens whenever I hear grounded because of how like grounded, realistic, grounded because of how Matt
Yeah, that's how
Reeves
I
is
feel about the word bespoke. Like, fuck
um
off.
or like
I
demure or
gotcha.
whatever the fuck. It's like, all right, whoa, calm down. But
Yeah.
it just like I get worried because like, you know, Nolan's grounded Batman, Matt Reeves is grounded Batman. It's like I'm sick of fucking grounded, guys. I want to see the campier aspects. I want to see them flying through space, but I have to also be realistic in hindsight, where it's like, well, they only have so much budget, and yeah, HBO does have a lot of money to spend, not as much as, you know, as a big budget movie or something like that. But even then, I'm still heavily skeptical, but I will pass it an olive branch. It's like I can understand why, and I hope it's like, you know, it's because they want to build the greatness of these characters and have them be around for a long time. Please, for the love of God, don't kill off Hal after like one season. Um,
Yeah,
so
that
we're
would be
gonna be getting
rough.
that. So yeah, I think you know, I'm okay. I'll be okay. I'll be okay, guys. Now, in terms of that, that's it for, you know, the all the uninteresting stuff. Now we're gonna get into Cruiser Commandos. We're finally gonna get into Cruiser Commandos. This is the thing that you guys have wanted to see. So we're gonna be talking about the first two episodes. Now I will put this on the screen for you. There will be spoilers. So if you guys have not watched the two episodes yet, we're also going to be getting into season episode 3 preview. So if you haven't seen that yet, just keep in mind there's going to be spoilers. Now, Cruiser Commandos. How did it start? I think it started pretty well. Um Now, was it perfect? No, but I do think that Creature Commandos gave us something. We got a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Like a lot of, you know, teases for the future, a lot of like what's canon, what isn't. Like I love how like immediately they were like, okay, this is what's canon, this is what we're going to be, you know, working with in terms of canon, just to give you an idea. And then, you know, like they specifically mention um how Rick Flag is dead, what the contents of Suicide Squad is, what you know, what where does how far does this take place? Is it 2024? Is it in the future? Is it in the past? So I liked that. I like how like from the get go they're like people are gonna have questions. Let's get this shit off the ground first. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. What were your thoughts on the whole like, okay, this takes place 2 years after Suicide Squad. Rick Flag Jr. is dead from that mission. Obviously, Viola Davis, Amanda Waller not telling him how he died, how she
Right.
pretty much commanded it. Um, but we do get that tidbit. So what are your since we were just talking
Yeah.
about canon, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts like
Well, no,
just
and I appreciate
from the
that.
get-go?
Yeah, well, and I think it's important that they do that to not only remind people who have seen the films, you know, just like you said, how this fits in, where it connects, where we are in the timeline, but also for people who haven't seen the films, it gives you a quick little summary, kind of gives you an idea of what
Right.
we're doing here, why we're doing it, and where we're going from that point. So I did appreciate that for sure. I love Viola Davis. She's such a bad bitch. So I'm really happy that she came back for the TV show. I love that Frank Grillo is just like Mr. DC right now. Like, let's just have him be a part of every single fucking DC project. Fine by me. It definitely started off strong. And me, you know, not really knowing what to think of it. It's the first DC comic or cartoon that I've seen in many a year. Again, these are majority of these characters are brand new for me. So I was really optimistic about it just because of the like again coming from the Batman and the Penguin and Peacemaker. So I was just ready for more, and I'm really happy so far with the two episodes we've got. But I'm looking to see where the story is going to go for sure.
Oh yeah, of course. That's, you know, how it is. but I think okay, so I will say the second episode was definitely better than the first episode because I think I had
It
a
had more, it had more going on.
yeah, because I feel
Yeah.
like the first episode, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, was a little bit haphazard. Like it was kind of
Yeah.
scared to
Well,
be
it was awkward because it was the getting to know you phase, right? It was introducing
right.
you to all of these characters, and then like it kind of immediately put them in on a mission. So you were like,
Mhm.
"Oh, all right, we're getting right into it." Like there's no like sitting down and like there's no banter. It's just get in the van, you're going to this location, you're on a
Right.
job now. When it ended, when the credits rolled, I was like, "Oh, that's the end of this episode. Okay."
Right.
Um, which and it works because they released 2 in a row, so it was like, "All right, I'm not sitting around for a week being like, 'The fuck?'" So it went right into the second episode, which was
I
fine.
think yeah, they did that on
Um,
purpose.
but
Yeah.
I will say, tonally for me, watching both episodes, while the story itself is very good, the story, the writing for me is a little odd. Like I think it's kind of having an identity crisis where yes, it's a cartoon, yes, it's based on a comic, but it's still it's very adult subject matter. It's very intense. There's sex, there's nudity, there's people's heads exploding, there's fight scenes, there's guns. But the writing for me feels very juvenile, and
Yeah.
knowing that James Gunn wrote Scooby-Doo made that make sense for me after watching the show. I was like, "Okay." So I think he's having a really hard time trying to like to make it an adult show, but then also writing for a cartoon. And I think he's just a little confused on getting the tone exactly right.
Mhm.
Because for me, some of the lines were kind of shitty and kind of cheesy. But again,
Yeah.
the story itself is very adult. Like I like the story, but the way people are interacting and speaking to one another, I'm like, oh, this is kind of it's a little juvenile. So
Yeah, that
I
was
think
my
it's having a
problem with
hard time with.
Peacemaker too, how it
That's
felt
fair.
very
Yeah.
juvenile in a lot of ways. As I
Yeah.
said, it feels very like
But I feel
James
like it
Gunn
fits for
flavored
Peacemaker because it's more like for me, like
because he's a man
Peacemaker is
child. Like,
definitely well, right. It's a show for fraternity bros. Like it's definitely got that tone of like, he's a frat bro, like all of a sudden trying to be an adult amongst other adults.
yeah,
So that makes a little more sense to me. Whereas, some of these characters are, hundreds of years old and have seen some things. And, so I think he's still trying to figure out. So I'm hoping throughout the season that, he kind of establishes, he gets his pace going, and he figures out exactly what he's
he
trying
gets
to
his
do.
piece going.
It's well, he gets the tone locked
Right.
in by the end of the season, which I'm sure he will. He seemed to
Yeah.
do the same with Peacemaker. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I do think we're gonna, be in like sidetrack to Peacemaker. I think we're gonna get some more adult stuff, like not adult stuff, but like
yeah,
adult things in regards to that. So I like but going back to Creature Commandos, I think Creature Commandos, it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's almost there for me,
right, right,
where it's like it's almost fantastic, but it's not like quite there. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing,
right,
because obviously this is only the first 2 episodes. It could get way better. Like for instance, like the first like amazing episode, the truly amazing episode of the Penguin was episode 4. So we're like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Penguin is a much
no,
better show. Like it
exactly,
started out much better, but like the first 3 episodes were very good. But like then that 4th episode came and we are like, holy shit, we
yeah.
mean business. And then it just went like skyrocketed from there. So it's entirely possible we just needed that setup. We just need like a little bit of, of that flavor.
Well, and
And
again, we've already
then
seen that, like you said, episode 2 was obviously better than episode 1. We get
right.
some real action. We get a little backstory into a couple of the characters' lives, and kind of their perspective, where they're coming from. So I think I'm hoping that it just continues on that trend and we just keep going upwards from there.
Yeah. So if we're gonna be talking about specific like episode moments, I liked how um like for instance, like fucking like 3 minutes into the first episode, we're making fun of incels. I'm like, okay, I have a feeling the show is gonna be great. We got this, we're good. I really appreciated that. I liked how like Themyscira, like boom, first thing name drop, because it's like I was curious how they were gonna like make Cersei like, oh, is she just gonna be like this like mysterious mystical character? No, boom, we already have Themyscira. We already have that from the get-go. Some people believe it's real, some people it's not. And they already have, they view it on a view screen, and like Cersei has duped all these incels into being her army. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. And then we're just kind of bing bang boom, we're already in whatever Pollockstan, whatever the fuck the fake name of the country is.
Yeah. Which is
And
apparently run by Gogo Bordello, which is fantastic. I'm so excited. It was awesome to hear like
yeah.
4 of their songs in that episode.
Yeah. And I was like, very like weird kind of music, but I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool, it's different.
I knew every song. I was so pumped. I was like, this is great.
But yeah, we get like a good feel for all these characters, like a little bit of in the first episode. Like they set everything up a little bit too quickly. I feel like it's weird that like animated shows are still 22 minutes. Like, okay, guys.
Right.
The reason that episodes, when it came to animated television, when it was 30 minutes, is because it was 30 minutes in a time block, 8 minutes of commercials, 22 minutes of show. You guys don't have to worry about commercials anymore. Why don't you just make it 30 minutes? Like, and especially when I understand it's set up, but the thing is, it was very hackneyed setup. It could have, I understand this is a show where it's all about like fast pacing, like you have to get things going, but it's like, okay, there's a difference between fast pacing and having ADHD. And this had like ADHD kind of pacing. A little bit.
Yeah. So with the 22 minutes thing, and we're talking the long game here. I truly believe that eventually these shows are going to end up on TV. They're going to end up in reruns on TBS, on TNT, on USA, on Fox, what have you. So I think all of the writers and the production studios absolutely are thinking ahead like that. They're thinking 10 years from now. They're thinking 20 years from now when they can show them on cable. And I think that's why we're still getting that, especially, if they're ever going to end up on any other streaming platform as well. Like you have your different tiers of Hulu. So you're going to have ads at some point. So I think they're still, working along those lines, which is very, old school. It's a silly way of thinking in my opinion these days. Like I was watching a movie on TV the other day. It started at 6:45 rather than 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So we're even breaking the rules now. So I don't think it's really necessary, but this is what the studios are choosing to do. So I don't know. We'll see. Oh, you're muted again, John.
Again, blowing my nose. But yeah, I think, a lot of people are liking it. A lot of people are like
I really dig it so
and
far.
I'm glad, because it's like, okay, we're in a good place now. We're in a good place, even though it wasn't like the most amazing thing ever. The DCU, every single thing that's been, under the DC Studios banner, Penguin, Superman the Christopher Reeve story, and this have all gotten like 90s to 100s on Rotten Tomatoes, which is also great. And very
well, and they've done such a good job marketing it too. I think building up the buzz, getting people excited. Again,
especially
James Gunn sitting down for every fucking interview that's been put in front of him. I think he's been very, very thoughtful in what he is allowing, giving people,
Mhm.
what he is sharing, what he's kind of keeping close to the vest. Like, I appreciate that he's not willing to just to share everything. Like, he's like, listen, this is still in development. We're not really sure what direction we're going in with this. I really appreciate how thoughtful he is about the information that he puts out there, because again, he does care. He wants to do it right. He wants the fans to get behind this stuff, and because he wants these projects to keep going. If you're going to just constantly churn out like a one-off, then fine, who gives a fuck? But he really wants this stuff to last, and he wants it to be something that fans can really get behind. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with all of it so far, for sure.
Yeah, and here he is in the opening credits.
Which
When
I thought
I
was
was
so
like,
cute that he gave himself that was so adorable. I love that.
I
Good for
love
you,
that, and
James.
like Snyder cultists are gonna be like, oh, Zack Snyder didn't, put himself in the opening credits of his stuff, and it's like, please just stop talking.
But
I've seen a
I
couple
don't
people
understand it.
already. I've seen a couple people already being like, what James Gunn, such a fucking massive ego, putting himself in the fucking
I
opening
think it's
credits.
cute
It's
as
like,
hell. Leave the man alone. Jesus,
it's just
kids
like it's a
camp.
comedy show. Like, it's supposed to be funny. It's like, there
Right.
he is. Like, he's
Right.
the fucking CEO. He can do whatever the fuck he wants,
Right.
But
Right.
but yeah, I think this I it has a really great group of characters. It does feel a little like, you know, it does it does confirm the worry of like, oh, it's just Suicide Squad again. Even though they did mention, that was another thing they did specifically
Right.
mention,
Yeah.
the events of Peacemaker as well, like her daughter outing her. I liked that as
Yes. Oh
well.
my God, I was thrilled. I was like, okay, so that's it. So now I know exactly where we are. That was cool. That was super cool.
Yeah, I really liked that
Good job,
because
James. Yeah.
um and as well as the fact, I love how, like, when they were talking about Dr. Phosphorus, they were like, "Oh yeah, if you're in contact with him, just think about it as a free vasectomy." And it's just like, this man's son just died like 2 years ago, and you're fucking saying that already? Like, damn, okay. And I
Yeah.
also liked how they mentioned the continuity of the Rick Flag Jr., because we were talking about that. I think, like, realistically, Joel Kinnaman and Frank Grillo are like 12 years apart. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like how they specifically said that as well. And we also had, you know, Easter eggs. We got, like, the Cordo Maltese. They mentioned that. They mentioned, like, the little Ultra Bunny thing that, Rick Flag had, which was very cute. And they had, there was also the idea of Shaggy right there. There he is,
Yeah.
smoking a joint in the DCU. I'm like, all right, that's a nice wink and a nod, James, to what came before, and I really liked that. So yeah, here was the more Ultra Bunny stuff,
Yeah.
which I liked as well. Very cute. Um, and I I liked the little things like that. I liked how, again, building the world. They have to do that because this is literally, yeah, it might be the appetizer, but they have to build the world properly. And
Yeah.
I liked how, you
Well, and
know,
they're connecting the dots in a way that's not just so in your face and so
or like,
obvious.
or it's just exposition for like 5
Yeah.
minutes, which is also
Right.
great. It's like, here's the thing, that was where the pacing worked for me, where it was like, okay, Themyscira is here, we have like this bad dream of Cersei, here's where Cersei is, here's where all these other characters are, and not just this team but in the world. And I really
Yeah.
liked that as well. That's where the fast pacing worked for me. It could have been a lot better in terms of, like, you blink and you miss half the episode because it's like, it's so, like, paced
Yeah.
so quickly.
Yeah.
And I will say some of the animation is a little, again, a little bit too haphazard for me, where it's like, I feel like I blink and I miss half a fight scene, because it's just like,
Mm.
I know the reason they do that, because that's a cost cutting measure, so they're not spending so much time on, like, specific frames of animation, and it takes
Well,
forever and all
that
that.
doesn't really bother me. Like, I never sit down, like, expecting to, like, be blown away by animation. As long as it's consistent, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? That part was okay.
Yeah, I also like how they mentioned Weasel surviving the Suicide Squad. It's like, well, he survived this. Adding into the whole, like, Project Starfish was a thing. And I feel like, I think either you mentioned this or Dan mentioned this. I forget who did, but they were also talking about, how, or maybe it was somebody in the comments. It actually might have been somebody in the comments where they were saying, okay, they're going to confirm the events of the Suicide Squad, but not certain characters, just in case like certain actors don't want to come back. Like if Margot Robbie doesn't want to come back, and
Which she
or
has already
Idris
said she
Elba.
doesn't. Yeah.
So, they've already said they don't want to come back. So they're like, okay, the events of Suicide Squad happened. Weasel was one of those characters, and that's all we know. And the fact that Rick Flag died by, I assume, Peacemaker, because he's getting revenge on Peacemaker in season 2.
Right.
So that's who. So that's like, in terms of the Suicide Squad, the things that are canon are, Project Starfish, like that whole thing. Weasel is alive. Weasel was sent and, died and then came back to life. Jesus. And then, Rick Flag was killed, but Rick Flag Jr. was killed by Peacemaker. And I think that's it. If I'm missing anything, please sound off in the comments below, because I might have missed something. But yeah, I really liked that as well. Just Weasel is just really funny. How he's like, yeah, I mean, he killed 27 children, but he's like a dog, essentially. It's fine. I felt that was really funny as well. And I love how they are going to be going with the second episode, especially. They did confirm that they are going to focus on characters per episode. Like because the bride was essentially the main character of episode 2.
Yeah.
I think with that's a little really bit of smart. Frankenstein.
I think that's really smart.
Yes, I think that makes sense. And so we got like set up for episode 1. We got nudity, which is great. We got, we saw half a nipple.
We had it in episode 2, yeah.
We had a lot of episode 2, a lot of interesting things in episode 2 in regards to that. And I just gotta say, James, we still want to see Frank Grillo making sex moans in a goddamn voice booth, because that'll be fucking hilarious.
Sure.
I want to see it, goddammit. That'll be fucking I just want to see him like trying to do it and then him bursting out laughing like, what am I doing with my life?
I'm waiting for Dan to clip that section of where up on Frank's character's package. I'm waiting for Dan to put that in the intro.
Oh yeah, we missed the package. How can we forget that? And
I know it's one of Dan's favorite things, so
his obsession with the bulge.
I'm just throwing a shot right there. Now I'll zoom into this.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Yeah, I just wanted to
re-edit that, but
Dan doesn't miss it.
We need to re-edit that to have like it's like Frank Grillo's package, and as in Rick Flag's package, just re-edit that. Dan, you have an assignment.
I mean, we can compare the two. Maybe who knows? Maybe they use that as reference for.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe just like James Gunn's like, all right, Frank, drop trow. We gotta make sure the animation's just right for this. And he's like, all right, and then
keep it canon,
baby
guys.
arm, hello, and then But I love how they really tried to show like this is very much the Suicide Squad, where they had like R-rated stuff. It definitely felt like a combination. You kind of had the juvenileness of Peacemaker. You had the camaraderie.
They have to figure out their tone. But
yeah, because you had the juvenileness of Peacemaker, the camaraderie of Guardians, but then you had like the R-rated shit of like the Suicide Squad. So like they need to find their tone eventually, but I mean, I liked the team. Like Nina Mazursky is clearly like the rat catcher too, where she's like the most misunderstood, but she's like the heart of the team, much like Mantis as well. The Bride feels like Gamora. Frankenstein.
The Bride is a bad bitch, though. I love the Bride.
Frankenstein feels like Star-Lord, where he kind of has those man-child tendencies.
Yeah,
I think like I feel like David Harbour did that very well. Like he definitely felt like this horrific like creature like that Frankenstein's monster is supposed to be. But then like at the same time, of course he would act like a child. He's technically only a couple years old, and he's like a new being. And he's like, Dad, I want somebody to love. Make me a wife. And it's like, and David Harbour did that very well. He kind of slipped in and out of an accent, like a Pollockstan accent, but like I feel like half the time I almost couldn't tell it was David Harbour. Like half the time I could, but the other half I was like, oh, that's interesting how he's doing that.
Yeah.
but I really liked that as well. We plus
Cersei's cool as
here.
shit too. I like her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Plus here we do get Cersei also being, as you would say, a bad bitch. Anya Chalotra just effortlessly just being a fucking just not one to be fucked with. I really liked that
Yeah.
as well. I
Yeah.
really hope they don't kill off the bride like immediately. I understand like, it is like don't get too attached, Suicide Squad vibes, but it's like I feel
Yeah.
like immediately killing her off is like, whoa. But like I understand it. And plus you could like make the argument you could resurrect her because,
Right.
she is a Frankenstein's monster. So
Yeah, so, like, let's just keep killing off we can kill off the bride, we can kill off Frankenstein, we can kill off the robot, we can kill off Weasel, obviously. So, like, let's just keep doing that because because I hate liking a character and then them being gone in a flash because it's like I just got to know this guy. So yeah, we'll see what happens down the
I'm
line.
really curious how she's gonna get her arms back because
Yeah,
that
I was
was
waiting for, like, the magic to wear off or something and her arms to go back to normal, and I was like, I have a feeling like Frankenstein's gonna have to fix her, and maybe that's when all of a sudden they'll fall in love. Who knows?
probably not because she like he literally murdered her true love. I mean, clearly,
I
Frank Grillo
mean,
wasn't the only one who was getting poo-tang. Look, clearly Peter Serafinowicz was also getting some poot-nanny right
but
there.
I mean, the doctor had his own family back at home, so he was committing adultery, so
Yes,
had it coming,
he was
you
also
know.
technically committing
Also, like,
necrophilia as
well,
well.
and also like you to your point, like she was like a year old then technically, so that's
And
also
so we're just
pretty
knocking
fucked.
off every terrible like
Yeah.
crime, but it's like it was the
And he
1800s.
was grooming
Pedophilia
her. He
wasn't
gave
even a
her a
thing back
necklace. Like
then.
he was grooming her anyway, like
Yeah, I mean that's
living
what
her
like that's the
life
whole thing. Like when people say
sketchy.
like what like kids believe, oh, Frankenstein, the monster is Frankenstein. No, and then it's
No.
like when you're an adult, no, Frankenstein's monster is the monster. Da, da, da. It's like, and then when you realize, no, Dr. Frankenstein, he's the
Is
real monster. That's the point.
yeah.
So I think they got that. I mean, Mary Shelley's probably rolling in her grave with like, what the fuck are you doing to my characters? But it's different. It's different enough,
Yeah.
I actually didn't realize this. I was looking up Frankenstein because I was looking up their relationship in the comics because I know they
Sure.
didn't end up together in the comics either. And he was co-created by Bob Kane. Fuck Bob Kane, much like fuck the Penguin. Fuck Bob Kane. But interesting tidbit, I didn't realize that because he's an old character. He was 1948 was when he was created. So I was like, damn, I didn't realize Eric Frankenstein, this version of Frankenstein was that old. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so, because in the comics, little tidbit, if you guys weren't aware, because I read a little bit of, um, it wasn't Creature Commandos, because I think I read something with like Frankenstein. I think it was part of Rebirth. I don't remember what it was specifically, but in the comics, it was essentially a similar thing, like kind of like the book where it was like he made him a bride and they didn't like each other. And then, but in the comic, it was she's like, yeah, you weren't my type. I don't really like you. So it was like they became like friendly with one another and they worked together on the Creature Commandos, which is very different in the comics. And worked together at Shade, which is kind of like a supernatural Argus kind of thing. And I hope that like maybe we'll eventually get that because Frankenstein is the head of the Creature Commandos, along with the Bride, Dr. Medua, and like there was like a Wolfman, there was a mummy, there was an invisible like old classic monsters, like modernized. I hope they do that because I think that would be way more interesting than just Task Force M, just like another Suicide Squad. But
Yeah.
A man can dream. Um but yeah, I think I think we've got a lot of tidbits here. We got a lot of in terms of the world, and I really liked that. And as I was saying, I really like how we're getting something per episode. And James Gunn even confirmed that GI Robot is going to be the Nazi hating. I was sending Nazis back to hell where they belong. I will say Sean Gunn did a really good job as GI Robot. like he can't really
I
do much
mean,
as Weasel because he's just going like into a microphone.
well, yeah, and it cracked me up because Alan Tudyk is a member of the cast, and I'm like, why would they have why wouldn't he be Weasel? But it's because Sean's already done Weasel before. And
Yeah.
it's always interesting, like when you see a character like that, and you're like, but Alan's right there, like that's what he
Yeah.
does. But no,
Um,
Alec was great too, and I'm
yeah,
really
he was
I was gonna bring that up. Like I just feel like the casting was
on
top
point.
notch for all of these characters.
I mean,
Really
Indira
wonderful.
Varma was so good as the bride. Like I
She's so
almost didn't
sick
even
as shit.
recognize it was
But
her.
like it's funny though, like as when I was watching the scenes with between her and the doctor, I was definitely getting like Matt Berry and like Natasha vibes from What We Do in the Shadows. Like I like part of me was like, they could totally both like just switch and switch these actors out and it would still be
Right.
the same. So I totally dug it for sure. Yeah, I'm like, again, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Do you feel like 22 minutes is enough, like, or do you want it to be an hour? Like is the 22
I don't
minute
think it should be
runtime
an
good
hour. I
enough
think
for
it should
you?
maybe like
Yeah.
30 to 35 minutes, but I don't think it should be
Okay.
an hour. That's
Okay.
too much.
Yeah, I feel
Um,
like it was decent.
but yeah, this
We got
was
a
what
lot in there.
James Gunn was saying about I love telling the backstories of these misbegotten characters. That's why I decided to put out 2 episodes today. The series doesn't really start until episode 2, which is what we were saying when we dig into these characters and where they came from, which is like ironic. Oh, coincidentally, we're going to a country where you were created to do this other thing that's totally unrelated. And it's like, all right. As we move forward in the weeks ahead, we'll learn more about the Stormfront crew, not of all of whom are innocent. Their separate individual experiences drive our central story and its outcome. Next week is GI Robot. Oh boy. So, we're going to get some more World War II stuff, which is interesting. I really like that as well. And we are going to be getting, somebody was saying, Cheers to the Tin Man is going to be the next. Obviously, it makes sense because GI Robot's next. And this is someone who had watched the series due to like reviews and stuff like that. Was my favorite
Yeah.
episode of the series. Well done. That one was superb.
Well, see,
So-
that kind of annoys me because, and this was brought up in the interview with Happy Sad Confused, where the interviewer was like, "Oh, episode 4, and I'm like, "Could you shut up?" Like we've been asked, and you all have been asked not to spoil anything. Not that he did, but it's one of those like, yeah, that's great that you got to see the whole series, and none of us have gotten there yet. So shut up. Like I
yeah,
don't want
it's like we're
people,
not going to get the full series
don't be
until
sharing the
next
titles.
year.
Don't be like, yeah, don't share any of that shit. Let us get to it on our own. Like that drives
Yeah.
me crazy. No
Yeah.
spoilers, you guys.
Yeah, we're
Until
just
it's out.
spoiling. I mean,
Like
it's out.
we're
So
spoiling
you
because
guys,
it's been out. Yeah, it's been out.
yeah, like we're just,
You've had
and
almost 24
and the
hours
thing
to
is, we're
watch. Yeah.
telling you about spoilers. We have our banner, so
Right, exactly. We're not just
in
putting it
case.
out on the interwebs. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, this was another thing I really loved, as we mentioned
Yeah.
before. So in that case, um, you know,
And apparently
does
they
that
like
mean
Mustard Yellow.
Flag Senior is 36? That wouldn't make sense. I don't think he's exactly 18 years older because he looks like a fucking gilf. So like, I don't think that's right. I think like, I don't know. That wouldn't make sense. So I feel
Is Frank
like
Grillo gonna have white hair in Peacemaker? Is he gonna have gray hair in
no. I
Peacemaker?
mean, we saw images of Frank Grillo on Superman, and he has his black hair, like his salt and pepper black hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We'll see.
I don't know. This wouldn't
Choices
make
were made.
sense, but like he
I
did
agree.
say that in the episode. He said, "Oh yeah, we had him at 18, and 18 years later, well, oh my god, I'm so dumb.
I don't know.
I'm being stupid because yeah, time has gone on since then. I'm so,
We'll be
I'm
fine.
I'm fried. Anyway,
It's all good.
I've been sick. I'm not thinking clearly. I'm like,
You
he's
don't
not
have to explain
36. What the
anything
fuck?
to any of us. You don't have to justify anything.
I was like, he's
All
30.
good.
How is he's not 36? And I'm like, oh yeah, obviously 20 fucking years have gone on since he joined the military. So I don't know how much older they are now, but
Yeah.
I don't think an age was ever revealed in the Suicide Squad. So
It's
I don't remember,
and no one
guys.
cares. That's a non-issue, honestly, for
Well,
fans.
yeah, I
Anyway.
know Frank Grillo is 59 in real life. So,
But how
hey,
tall
Lenny.
are they? That's what's
That's what's really important, guys.
how tall are they?
So, okay, so I would imagine, like, since he's got that gilf energy, and Alana likes older men, which, by the way, I'm really curious if you have any thoughts about this. The princess, I think she's dirty. She's a femme
Oh,
fatale.
the princess
Sh
is fucking weird. I don't think she is the princess. I think she's posing as the princess. Like her character does not make sense at all to me, and I
Even the
fucking hate
bride
her.
saw something too.
Yeah, that she is totally an imposter.
She's like, she's definitely like a femme fatale, or there's something dirty with her,
yeah, no,
because it's like,
she's
how
not the
is she
princess.
that horny for, like, I mean,
And
understand,
dumb as
I mean,
shit.
I'd
No,
fuck Frank Grillo too, but that's beside the
I
point.
mean,
But
hello.
I'm just saying, like, how she's that horny, already giving him fuck me eyes right when she meets him. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
no,
I understand, maybe you're
no,
horny, I understand that, but, like, at the
no,
same
she's an
time,
imposter.
you're dirty. You're
No,
a
yeah,
dirty girl.
she's an imposter. She's a plant. She's not who she says she is.
Yeah, clearly.
I guarantee you at the end of it, like it's gonna be like, oh, Cersei was right. Shit. So yeah, I can't stand that character, honestly. I can't wait for something really horrible to happen to her personally.
Ouch. I will say I mean, the voice actress is doing, like, a very good job, because you could tell, like, she's, like, doing some things with, like, the character, I feel like.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, I think they made that pretty obvious that, like, oh yeah, she's not right. Whatever
yeah.
that is, whether it's an imposter, a plant,
I don't
uh
even like how she's drawn. What princess has a short bob like that? I'm not like, hello. What
Princess
princess has that?
Diana.
No. No, it's not, no. She didn't have it like that. No.
I mean, she had short hair, short blonde hair.
No. It's not the same.
Anyway.
Anyway.
I mean, Elizabeth II, when she was, like, first,
No, it's
you know,
again not the same. Not the same. Hers was coiffed. It was a whole thing. This chick,
okay.
no. Her hair is like
Um,
mine. Come on. No.
I don't know. I'm not into, like, female beauty standards or whatever. So,
Don't worry. That's okay. That's what I'm here for. And I'm telling you, I don't like her. I don't like
Also,
anything about
I love this tidbit right here. Look, just surrounded by cats. Got to make GI Robot lovable. You got to surround him with cats. That's boom. There you go.
it. As long as
Right
they're
there.
not Nazi cats, they're good.
As long
They'll
as
be
they're
good.
not Nazi. I don't think they're Nazi cats, because he wouldn't allow them to, lick
But
him.
I do
So
like I
yes.
do appreciate that about his character, where before he he shoots anyone, is this gentleman a Nazi? I do appreciate that
He
part about him.
asks,
Yeah.
you never
So
know.
just want to make sure I know who I'm killing here.
And
Yeah.
I like Cheers to the Tin Man. I liked that.
Ew, rude.
I actually found him annoying, especially when there are white supremacists in the world. Yeah, those are Nazis. Like, why is that a thing? What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Anyway, um,
Whatever.
but they also revealed ya boy in this little tidbit with Cersei, and we see some other character. Obviously, we see Peacemaker, because we've only
Superman.
gotten confirmed characters, but the only other confirmed character, this looks like Starfire. So that's an interesting bit, which
Mm-hmm.
feeds into the idea that we are getting Teen Titans related something, because I think the guy in the back is Mr. Terrific. That looks like Mr. Terrific, I think, because he has the
Okay.
white and, like, the shoes, and I think that's Mr. Terrific. But that right there, right in damn it, sorry. Right there is Starfire. I think that's Starfire. Like, obviously we have Superman here, and we have, Peacemaker down here, but, like, I think that's Starfire. Guys, what do you think? I'm really curious to know your theories. Cuz
Yeah.
like Teen Titans has been I mean, it was confirmed by Deadline. That was like an exclusive, but James Gunn says sometimes, well, once in a while they're not right, but I feel like that kind of confirms that Deadline was right. So, you know, um oh, Lizz, behave. Uh oh, so okay. Okay, that's actually a fair point. Hang on. Buster Barnes, you're coming in hot with a good
Hit
theory
me,
about
Buster. Let's go.
who
What do we got?
Alana is, because it's a character that has been confirmed already to show up, voiced by Alan Tudyk.
Ooh, bitch. Ooh. Okay. That and I'm fine with that. That okay.
So here's the thing.
Oh
So
shit.
Buster, that I mean that makes sense because he's a
Yeah.
shapeshifter, and
Oh,
but here's the thing.
poor Frank Grillo.
I mean, a hole's a hole. Like it's
John.
I mean, like I did it feel
Dan,
good.
could you clip that sound clip for the next montage for the next
When you have a
intro,
hole,
please?
there's a goal. Anyway, but when there's a hole, there's a goal.
Oh.
Anyway, but yeah,
Say it
so
again
it
and then
seems
stare at the camera for 30 seconds.
and then so yeah, I feel like that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much been confirmed. She's Clayface. Yeah, okay. Buster Barnes got it. We're good.
I'm fine by
On
me.
to the
Thanks,
next
Buster.
thing.
Moving on.
So what is Caleb? What are you saying? But I mean, yeah, because it's like he's a shapeshifter. But here's the thing. Here's the thing I'm curious about. Yeah, how did he get there, and why would a small like C-list Batman villain wannabe princess? I mean, I understand if it's like royal power, but it's like I'm curious how that
there must be something with that
mixes together.
land, that world. There could be something, this could be like a Sokovia kind of thing, that there's something going on there that he's trying to tap in the resources, or who knows. But now I've got to make a t-shirt that says Cersei was right. You know what I mean? Like, so
Well,
we'll see.
we
Again,
haven't
we'll see what
gotten
happens.
there
It's
yet.
only
I don't
we've
think
only got 2
Cersei is
episodes.
right.
We only got
We
2
still
episodes.
have
We'll see what happens. She's
yeah,
hot
we still
shit
have
though, dude.
5
Woo!
more episodes to get into
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So, well, no, I don't think. Well, she's not because Cersei. Oh, hold on. Let me just say what the Watcher is saying here, so nobody's like, "What are you fucking talking about?"
Right. Especially me, you can't see the comments.
Cersei is clearly not, because Cersei was fighting the bride and Nina Mazursky at the
But we never see
Frankenstein's
them in
place
the same place together.
while Frank Grillo was, having fun.
Okay. Well, that's, you know what? That's
So
true.
I mean, it's entirely possible that Cersei, but like, then why would she want to take over? She already took over then. If she's the Princess Alana, then she already took over. Boom. That's what she wants to do. She wants to take over. That's it. Why would you have this whole rigmarole in terms of like, oh, I want the power, even though I already have the power? That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good theory. I'm willing to bet it's the Clayface theory, because that makes way too much sense.
That makes
It's a
total
confirmed
sense.
character. Alan Tudyk is voicing him. He's a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And
And that
clearly
works
we
for me.
know
I love
Alana
being
is not
introduced to
right.
new characters. Yeah. Let's do it.
So
I'm down.
we'll see. But
Did you just spoil the entire season for all of us?
maybe. But I would like to think that like by the end of the series, since I think it's one of those things where Clayface gets caught in the middle of something that was not his intention. Like this Cersei business, he's just like, I wanted to be part of a royal family so I could have money and power. That's literally it. So I hopped on a train, I disguised myself as this chick, I killed the other one, and now I'm,
or holding her prisoner somewhere. Yeah.
or holding her prisoner somewhere or whatever. So, hopefully, Clayface doesn't have like clay related STDs, because that might be bad. But so like I feel like that's the case. I feel like that's the case because it's like I feel like Clayface, because then I can see them, if this gets a season 2, which I think it will get a season 2.
I agree.
I think Clayface would then later become part of Task Force M, because he's a monster technically.
Okay. Yeah.
That I think would work. They're like kind of like what happened to Captain Boomerang at the end of Suicide Squad. He wasn't part of Amanda Waller's like Legion or whatever, but then he became part of Belle Rev, like once the movie was done. So, and then he became part of that in the sequel.
And you know what? Maybe that's the project that James Gunn just got greenlit. Maybe it's Creature Commandos season 2. Who knows?
Maybe, but I think that would already whatever. The women in waterfalls joke was a bit naughty in my opinion. Yeah.
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. Okay, Lenny had a question or our thoughts. So let's see what you had to say about that. Because I want to give you guys, I haven't been giving you John. So Gunn says DC is more of a world building verse rather than a story verse. The focus is not to get to Justice League like it was for Marvel to get to the Avengers. Yeah, we did
That's
talk
fair.
about that
Yeah,
a
that's
little
fair.
bit. Yeah, I think it's like just building up smaller characters, being loose with canon. I prefer that. Like because the thing is, I think the problem with the problem with like movies in general, and even TV shows, it's hard to build a world when you only have like 2 hours or 8 hours. It's still not enough time as like a book or an arc of books to build the world. That's why like
Right.
comic books feel so lived in and the movies don't feel as lived in because there's only so much time you can give to
Yeah.
a character or a
That's
team
what I'm
of
saying.
characters.
For me, like sticking true to the individual characters, I think is more important for just that reason.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think I prefer that world building verse. Um uh so do you think we won't be getting sequels? I don't know. I think it definitely fits into the idea of us not getting as many sequels. Unless something I think what I would like to believe, like, maybe, like, Superman is, like, the foundation where we're gonna get, like, sequels in regards to that, and then we're just gonna get other characters building around that.
That's what I'm
Um,
thinking as well.
and
Yeah.
then the thing is, in order to get characters that feel like other characters is not have sequels, just have like, okay, we're gonna get a Plastic Man movie, but like we're gonna have another character have a similar vibe, like Green Arrow. Green Arrow kind of like has that jokey, kind of cartoony character kind of vibe. Okay, so we're not gonna have a Plastic Man 2, we're gonna have a Green Arrow movie. And then or we're gonna have like Batman Brave and the Bold, and it's like, okay, we're not gonna have a Batman movie, maybe we'll get like a Nightwing movie, or we're gonna get like a character similar to that, but not exactly a sequel, in order to like again world build the world. So I would like to believe that. Like, and I don't mind because it's just like I think that's an interesting way of doing it. And any other sequels would be few and far between, or TV shows that get season 2s and 3s. That might
Well,
be the
yeah, and
closest we get to
I
sequels.
think it's fine to keep all of the projects in their own lane, to keep everything separate. So again, like, do I want the Penguin to show up in the Batman 2? No. Do I want Creature Commandos to suddenly spill over into Peacemaker, which it kind of will with Frank, with his character, but I think they're fine on their own, and they are doing well on their own. So just leave them alone, and again, just start bringing in characters that we haven't really given much attention to before. There's so like I think the biggest problem that everybody has with the superhero movies in general is that it's the same fucking characters over and over again. So give us something new, give us something original. Stop going back to the same well. So I think we just leave things as they are, and just like you said, continue the series, give us a season 2 through 4, give us sequels to films, but start introducing other characters. You can reference things back and forth, but like we don't need like one full episode dedicated to bring something going on with Peacemaker, or anything like that. So I think so far they're doing a good job, and I just hope they stick with this current formula that they've got going.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a bright future and of world building, and not necessarily just the same characters over and over again. Um, so Lenny asked again, so like, will Gunn make sure each city and country, as they aren't ours, will he make it very distinctive and more of a character like Gotham in the Reeves verse? I hope so, because I was explaining this, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, where like I want like every city to feel different. Like I don't want every city to feel like New York, because that's boring.
Yeah.
Because not every city in America feels like New York. It feels very different. Um, like I was explaining, like Gotham feels like, you know, 70s New York, but like
Yeah.
Metropolis, at least specifically in the DCU, is gonna feel like, you know, is going to feel like a city in Delaware, because that's where Metropolis is going to be, in Delaware, in the DCU. That's been confirmed.
Right.
And it's going to, like, be kind of like out, like a place out of time, which is what I love. Like, because I want, like, because the thing that works with Marvel, and this has worked with Marvel, and I'm not just saying that as an MCU, I'm saying that as, like, way back when Stan Lee came in and, like, was doing all this stuff, was like, ironically, Marvel was the one that had the grounded realism, and um DCU was more, the DC Comics universe was more, outlandish and fantastical. That's what I want, because that's what the Marvel kind of feels like at some points. Is like, it all takes place in New York. It's all, like, very much real world stuff. Yeah, you bring up, like, a
Right.
country like Sokovia that, like, doesn't exist, but, like, at the same time, it still feels like, or Wakanda, like, yeah, but that's, like, obviously, like, this place and that place. But, like, the thing that works about the DC Comics universe is, like, it's the world out of time. It's not just our world. Marvel, it worked for them. Like, you have, like, very real people dealing with real world issues, which is, like, which works for Marvel. For
Yeah.
DC, it's like, it's out of place, out of time, with characters that, like, just really just can't exist,
Right. Right. Exactly.
So like, yeah, Superman, alien, Green Lantern, alien ring, and, like, Batman, peak human condition, billionaire, can't exist type shit. So that's why I would want, or like Opal City to feel like, maybe like a 1920s, like Denver. I don't know, just, like, not have it like, or like this city, or like Midway City to feel like Stamford, or this city to feel like this, like, not have it just feel like, oh, every place is just New York, because we've already kind of gotten
Well,
that
yeah,
with, like,
that's all we seem to be getting is like gritty, cityscapes, skyscrapers. Like, why can't we have a city like Miami, or why can't we have a city like, I don't know, so I do agree with you there that it's always the same tone, like the same gray, rundown, graffiti ridden, rat infested sidewalks, and like you said, like the 1970s New York.
don't get me wrong,
So
I love
yeah,
70s New York aesthetic. Do not get me wrong, but
I mean, I don't know, but yeah, but they could definitely pivot and give us something else, and I think we're due for it. So we'll see.
yeah. So, like, I do genuinely believe, that I think getting that world building and not have every, place and, feeling like New York would be great. Yeah. And, as you said, Metropolis is like a city of tomorrow. I really like that, how they're, kind of doing that. And I also like, and I hope that they really use this, because, as Robert Downey Jr. said at the end of Iron Man, he completely course corrected this entire universe by saying he's Iron Man and they don't have secret identities. So I hope, like, DC doubles down on, like, the secret identity, and, like, it's two separate people, it's like, oh, but it's like, it's I don't care. I don't care. He puts on a pair of glasses. And also, are you really looking at every guy with a mop head and glasses like, oh, yeah, that guy kind of looks like Superman? Like, come on, get the fuck out of here. Like, I will stand by that theory. That's not just that easy. Or it's not just that, like, hard of, like, oh, yeah, putting on a pair of glasses, you could be like a different person. Like, obviously, if I put on my glasses, you could still tell it's me. Like, because I have a bald head and a beard, and you also know what I look like. So obviously, I still look the same. I just have,
I mean, only if you stare into the screen for 30 seconds.
I don't think Hugo's here, though. So, you know, uh, but so I would say go watch Commandos. Yes, we've spoiled
Yeah,
it, but if you don't give a fuck about spoilers, then
we didn't
by all
spoil it
means,
too much though.
we didn't spoil it too much.
Yeah.
But it was very enjoyable. It's not like the greatest thing ever, but it could be. I will say the
It,
first
it's got
episode,
potential. It's got
yeah,
potential to
the
get
first
better. It
episode
could
was
be.
good. A little bit too ADHD haphazard for my personal taste, but I like the second one where we really, get into more character stuff, specifically with the bride. How third episode we're gonna focus on GI Robot.
Yeah.
And we're gonna
But no,
get
I'm definitely looking forward to understanding more about this whole Princess Cersei dynamic business. But that seems to
yes.
be the way that they've been telling these stories. Like even with Suicide Squad, it was like it's a lot of buildup, and then all of a sudden you get to the big bad, and you get like the real, the realization of to exactly what this has all been about in the first place. So I'm hoping we kind of stick to that storyline as well, because that
Yes.
works for me. So
Yeah,
we'll see what
I
happens.
like that a lot. But last thing we're gonna quickly talk about is some CCXP stuff.
Okay.
We are gonna be, chatting about that. It's mainly just like merch and trailer stuff. So let's get into that real quick. First things first, we do have a little bit of merch here. A lot of mugs, and a lot of people are, obviously people are jumping the gun, pun intended, that this is gonna be the first poster because it was on the mug. Thoughts?
It does absolutely nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. I could
I
if that is the first poster, I could give two shits. I'll tell you right now.
It's a shitty
Nothing.
poster.
Yeah.
It would be like a
It's a
cool
shitty mug. I thought that was a popcorn bucket, and even then, not buying it. No thanks.
yeah, also
Pass.
no DC Studios on it. Or yeah, like this guy pretty much just saying it, or maybe it's just a coffee mug, guys.
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't I don't I don't
did
know.
they give it out for free at CCXP? Because I'm not spending money on that. I'll tell you that much. It's
Uh
like,
I don't
okay,
know, but we're gonna get some, these are some of other,
the other angles of the
mugs.
mug.
Yeah, the rest. I would say I think I made the right decision in terms of what mug I picked. Just
Sure.
saying. This is, it's sometimes it's simple. You don't need all this like extra diddly dat black cobby wobble stuff.
I know
So
I don't mean to be rude, and I know because I know everybody's lost their shit for this Superman logo. I personally hate it.
I
So
get that.
yeah, I probably won't be getting any of this merch. Sorry to say. But yeah, this does
Because it's
absolutely
like
nothing for me.
it's very different because it's like it's based on the Kingdom Come logo, which is not the
Yeah,
traditional S.
yeah.
Which because I remember I showed this to my mom, like, oh, this is the logo. She's like, I don't like
I
it.
yeah, like okay. Yeah, it does absolutely nothing for me.
But I like my shirts. I love Kingdom Come and I love that story and I
Oh, a
love
lot
that
of people
logo.
do. Yeah, for sure.
So I'm like, I'm cool with it. Plus, it's different. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
It's better than the fat ass S that we got with Man of Steel. So I'll give it that. But yeah, people are saying like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like the fucking like poster, and it's like, all right, guys, calm down.
Wah wah.
But yeah, we're getting. It's just a mug. It's just like yeah,
Who cares?
and
And pins.
this,
Okay, shocker. We're probably all
and we're
gonna get
getting
a pin
pins.
at the opening
Very
day.
very cool, guys.
I
And
promise you, we're all getting those pins if you go see it opening night. Okay, great. Whatever. Meh.
and look,
Whatever.
Gilmore Girls and Friends as well. Amazing, right? I don't know. It's just like, it's just kind of cool. But the real, and also a little something that's way more interesting. This was, John Henry Irons' full suit in Superman and Lois. That
Okay.
looks great. Way to go,
Yeah.
guys.
It doesn't look
So,
like what is that? Warhammer? Doesn't look like that guy at all.
it's Steel.
No, I know. I'm saying it doesn't look like the Marvel character at all.
Yeah, well, Steel came
No.
first, so whatever.
Okay. Just saying. Just saying.
All right, your Marvel boner is showing.
Are they
Anyway,
gonna replace Don Cheadle eventually later on down the
next
line
time,
as the
baby.
actor? I'm just saying.
I mean, they already did that on Superman and Lois with Jonathan. They replaced the actor and then he got a suit. So it kind of happened already by
I'm just saying.
Whoopsie
I'm
daisies.
just
But
saying.
yeah, here's
Okay.
Wole Parks in the suit. So looking
Woohoo.
good, sir. But just like okay, it's fucking mugs. But Dan, why are we showing this shit?
Man,
He just sent us this shit like to mug. Who gives a fuck? Anyway. So, people were saying like, oh, people were talking about us getting a trailer this month on maybe December 15th, maybe a little bit earlier to coincide with the, Superman the movie release date, which was 46 years ago, this coming December 15th. So People were like, "Oh, we're gonna be getting a trailer soon." Plus, it seems like a good time to get a trailer.
People are treating this like it's written by Taylor Swift. Like she's very thoughtful with the shit she puts out in her Easter eggs and all that. Don't put that on everybody else now. That because this date is significant, that means we're getting the fucking stop it. Leave that for Taylor Swift and her Swifties. Let them spend their entire life worrying about that shit. Stop doing that with these projects. Leave it alone. James Gunn is going to release things that make sense and that are good quality and give us some actual content. He doesn't just throw shit out there to throw shit out there. That's why he's sitting down to all these fucking interviews, because you people are breathing down his neck about this stuff. But he's not just going to release a trailer just to shut you up. So stop. It's so stupid.
He pretty much
God,
just said,
y'all are feral. You're feral.
There's been some reports on Twitter that your Superman trailer will be released on December 16th. This is nope. Trailer not coming out this month, guys.
Stand down, folks. Stand down.
Shut the fuck up.
Shit. Fucking calm yourself.
Now we can
There's
all
other things going on in the world.
So if I were to take a guess, we're gonna get a trailer on the Super Bowl. So if I
I don't even think we're gonna get a trailer. Honestly, I think we're gonna get a teaser. I think that's what we're gonna get.
Oh yeah, teaser trailer. That's what I meant, like a teaser trailer.
Like the cape going off in the corner. Like you're not gonna see fuck all. You're just gonna get a little taste. You're gonna probably miss it because you'll be doubling down on the buffalo wings or whatever the fuck, and it's gonna be a date, and that's gonna be it. And guess what? Shut up about it. Like, holy shit, I can't.
Yeah.
Because when the trailer comes out, you're all gonna freaking tear that apart anyway. Then we're gonna get the next trailer. You're all gonna see it. So stop. We're all gonna go see it, and maybe we'll be disappointed. Maybe we'll love it. We'll all be here to talk about it afterward. Leave it alone. Enough with the speculation. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're gonna, get like a couple things like in the next year. I don't know.
Thank you, Lenny.
Even like, I mean, I was like, okay, maybe we'll be getting like an announcement trailer, which is like 30 seconds, like maybe 15 seconds at most. But I don't think I never thought we were like going to get like a real trailer. But like when I heard more, I'm like, oh, maybe James Gunn is going to tease something. No.
They still have 7 months. Why would they put something out? They're not going to put something out just to appease fans, because frankly, you can't appease these feral fuckers. But they don't have the content to create a full trailer. And again, heaven forbid they do put out a full trailer and then half the shit in that trailer is not actually in the film, in the final cut. So you're never going to make everybody happy. Everybody just sit on your hands and wait for them to release the shit at their leisure. Because
I also love this crazy. This little tidbit. Very true. So Grace Randolph is making stuff up. Always has been.
Again, stop mentioning her name. She's not worth our time. Please.
Although quick mention, just a little bit. I think it's coming out in December. I think she's just messing with Grace Randolph, which would be funny to do, but I don't think it's coming out in December. I don't think so. Like I was maybe great. I was trying to like throw people like an announcement trailer, like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like maybe at most, but I don't know. So yeah, I didn't really think that we were gonna get something like this. Yeah, and Lenny also said that's why they started the DC official podcast, to shut the scoopers up. It's like, yeah, that makes sense, because people won't shut the fuck up about this shit.
I mean, truly, y'all are feral animals.
Like, I understand, like, people are excited. Like, I get that, but like at the same time, you gotta
sound like they're excited. It sounds like they're excited to shit all over something.
Well, yeah, because they have the Snyder cultists.
If you were a true fan and if you were excited, you would just sit and wait and be happy with what you're given, because you're going to see it regardless. I think all of these people want stuff to bitch about. So that's what it is. So that's why they're harassing James, because they want it to fail. They want to have something to have a problem with. They want to be able to tear it the fuck apart. So you know what? Get a fucking hobby, because this ain't it, gang. Like, maybe move along with your life.
Just like,
Christ, there are other
things. Some porn, jerk off, just
macrame is coming back.
Meal, go take a shower, touch some grass, do whatever you need to do.
Just honestly,
good. Like, don't get me wrong. I just like go play a game, go touch grass. It's
Enroll
gonna
in
be
basket
fine.
weaving, gang, like something, really.
I would have said knitting, but basket weaving also
I'm just
interesting.
saying.
Maybe pick up an instrument. I played the saxophone for almost a decade, so
I
I
played
don't
the violin
recommend it.
for a hot second,
But
yeah.
so maybe the accordion, maybe the piano, possibly the zither. Well, anything, just it's gonna be okay. We're
Just
gonna
get a
get the
life.
movie eventually.
Get a
Well,
life, is what I'm saying.
unless we get nuked before July, which is definitely could be
Then
the
none of it's
case.
gonna fucking matter
And
anyway.
none of it's gonna matter, and then we're all
Get
gonna
a
die
life.
anyway.
Go get laid. How about that?
Yeah, that's
How about that?
a great thing. Go get laid, stick something up your butt. It's all good. You know, Frank Grillo's already got that covered.
Poor man. Poor
When the
Frank.
two of you talk over each other, it's the most American thing I've ever heard. All right, sure. Lenny, ruining it for the rest of us. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Hang on.
Sorry. Gotta keep it real, gang. Pause for blowing the nose.
Oh God, especially when I'm talking a lot, my nose just automatically gets
Yeah,
stuffed. But
yeah, I got you.
anyway, so that's pretty much it for today, guys. We just had a little bit more to talk about it, like with that huge
Also, how much
interview.
does that shitty mug cost?
I have no
Probably
idea.
$20. Probably $20 for that dumbass mug. Don't y'all fall for it. Don't you get that shitty mug. Ugh, stupid. Anyway.
I don't know. I mean, it's it'll be in like what's Brazilian currency. I don't know what it is, but yeah, whatever that is.
Let's not bother.
But yeah, that's it for today, guys. We covered James Gunn's interview. We covered Creature Commandos. Go watch it. It's on Max right now, the first 2 episodes. And we covered a shitty mug and the fact that we're not getting a trailer. So, that's it for today, guys. Thank you. Would just personally thank I need to tuck John into bed and give him some cold syrup. Thank you. I do need to take NyQuil tonight because I have not been sleeping well.
Take a
but
double
thank
dose.
you, Lenny, Antonio, Caleb, Ron, the Watcher, Buster Barnes, Hunter was a Hunter Iggy, figure drawing, Kevin Davis, who else? Jay Kelly, I'm trying to give Dan was in the chat for a little bit. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
And then, just and then Mike's Dragon channel or something like that. Whoever you were. But yes, thank you very much for watching, guys. We will be seeing you tomorrow as well because today's Thursday. Yeah, today's Thursday. I don't know what day it is anymore.
For another 2 hours at least, yeah.
For another 2 hours. Hey, we kept it below the 2-hour mark. All right, so it's fine. Well, I have a little
proud
thing
of
that says
you.
1 hour 47 minutes. Not you guys don't see that. I can see that. But again, thank you for watching. Everybody who even the people I didn't mention, thank you for watching. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, click the notification bell because we try to keep it at 8. But you know how it is. People's schedules, it's all over the place. It's fine.
Stuff and things. Yeah.
But yeah, see you tomorrow. I believe I don't know what we're talking about tomorrow. Maybe more Creature Commando stuff. Maybe more teasers. Maybe Frank Grillo's sex life. I don't know, but we'll
leave the man alone. Oh, poor thing.
Well, I mean, that man's probably drowning in pussy. It's fine. But on that disgusting note, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.